Hello, this is Forest of Oak, Lesson 13, Candle Magic. Often you will see an example of candle magic given as blowing out the candles on a birthday cake and making a wish, but that is only an extremely basic form. Candle magic is so much more. Candle magic starts with a candle, but it relies heavily on your intent. If your will and desire are strong enough, it will transfer to the candle and help move the magic along. If you are working a spell half-heartedly, then the likelihood of it being successful is slim. As with other forms of spell work, candle magic can be as grand and flamboyant or as simple as you wish to make it. It is one of the easiest types of spell work. All you need is a candle, intent, and matches. Yes, it really is that simple. You can add to the power of the spell by bringing in colour in the form of the candle and then adding other layers such as herbs and crystals. Candles also employ the element of fire. Once you light the candle, you set the spell in motion using the power of that element. Fire brings transformation in many forms along with the power of change. Fire can be disruptive, but from that comes rebirth and new opportunities. The light of a candle illuminates and brings light to the dark. Fire is powerful and must be respected. When you look at a candle more closely, it brings together all four elements. The flame is fire, the wick is earth, the wax is water, and the element of air is needed to allow it to burn. Candles feature in many cultures across the world, each one representative of spirituality, prayer, or magic of some kind. Whether the candle is lit to celebrate a festival or event, or perhaps used in memory of someone who is no longer with us. Originally, of course, candles would have been practical and used to light homes in the dark evenings. Christians see the candle as Christ and his eternal light. Candles are also used to commemorate saints and to show intent to support a prayer. In Judaism, during Hanukkah, 9 candles set into the menorah, which is a candlestick, are lit over 9 nights to symbolize rededication to the Second Temple in Jerusalem. In Hinduism, Diwali is a celebration of light and uses candles called diyas, which is spelled Diyas, as the main theme. Buddhism features candles in several festivals, one of which is called the Candle Festival, where coloured candles are used to represent unity and community. Candles in Buddhism represent the enlightenment of Buddha. In the Islamic faith, after Ramadan, a month of fasting, they celebrate with gifts and candles, and they are used to represent being closer to their God, Allah. It is also important to remember that a candle and any other items you add to your spell work are just tools. Tools used by us to direct and focus our intent. Ultimately, the power to a spell is within you. If your will and intent for the goal or outcome is strong, then it will translate into the energy of the magic and the success of the spell working. If you go into it half-heartedly or are not committed to the outcome, then the spell will likely fail. You are the magic. The candles and all the other additions are merely tools. Most importantly, relax. Some of the information and instructions given here may sound incredibly stressful or even scary. If you trust your intuition when creating and working a spell, it will not let you down. There is no right way or wrong way, and although spells do not always work in the way we expected, they do work. trust in your own abilities. Choosing a candle. Candle magic can be worked with one simple candle, but which type? There is no straight answer to that question because it all depends on what type of spell you wish to work, whether you want to add in correspondences and, of course, what you have to hand, or within your budget. Candle magic is, however, very adaptable. Spells can be worked with any type of candle, from a tiny birthday cake candle right up to a large pillar type. The choice, as they say, is yours, and yours alone to make. As always, trust your intuition and which type of candle you feel is the right one to use. I have given a long list of suggestions covering a whole variety of candles. Each one lends itself to different types of spell working, but it's just a guide. Go with what works for you. Candle types. For a candle spell, you really want one that is not going to burn for days, unless it is part of a spell that is activated over a period of time. Candles must not be left unattended, and generally for candle magic, it is often best to use a candle that will burn out in a short time. Tea lights are good, as are votives, small beeswax candles, or even birthday cake candles. However, this is where I'm going to be contrary. Spell candles work well for most spells, they do not burn for hours, and you can get the magic done that needs to be sorted. If you have a spell that is for a major intent, you may well want to invest more time and energy into working it. Here is where size really does matter. For something really important or a big request, I would lean towards 7-day candles or something longer like a taper or a dinner candle. I might even use a pillar candle and spread the spell over several weeks. Use your judgment about what is required and which one would work best for your intended outcome. Below is a list showing different types of candles with suggestions on how to use them and what they work best with. Spell or chime candles. I know this type of candle as spell candles, but they're also referred to as chime candles. Small, slim candles, generally about 4 inches tall and 1.5 centimetres, about half an inch diameter. They burn for about an hour. Called chime candles as they were used in angel or Christmas chimes, the flame of the candle providing the air to move the small fan of the mechanism. Those are my go-to candles for working spells due to the range of colours they are available in, their convenient size and their burn time. Spell candles are easily available from occult stores and general online outlets. Birthday or cake candles. Birthday cake candles are excellent for working quick fast spells as they come in all sorts of colours and take a very short time to burn. Measuring around 7 centimetres in height and about 0.8 centimetres in diameter. They do not stand on their own, but they can be pushed into clay or something soft. Birthday cake candles are readily available from a wide variety of stores. Tea lights. Very commonly used in magic, tea lights are excellent for using in storm lanterns when outside and on your altar. A tea light is wax and a wick held in a small metal tin. They come in a variety of colours and often in different scents too. They usually burn for around 4 hours. You can sprinkle herbs or essential oils on top of them or draw sigils on the base of the tin. They measure just under 1.5 inches in diameter and they're about 2 centimetres in height. Tea lights are available from a wide variety of stores and often come in multi-packs. Votives. A small candle about 2 inches tall and 1.75 inches in diameter. The word votive means giving a vow or a wish, often given as a devotion or in gratitude. These come in all sorts of colours and scents. They stand on their own or can be dropped into glasses or jars. Dress them in oils and herbs for added spell energy. These burn for up to 15 hours. I do not often use votives for spell work as they take so long to burn. They do make excellent candles to light regularly in honour of deity or as general altar candles. Votives are readily available to purchase online and from a variety of general stores. Taper or dinner candles. Tall, thin candles that you will find in candle holders or fancy dining tables. They are slightly wider at the base, about 2 centimetres, and taper off to a point at the top. They are often around 20 to 24 centimetres in height, and they burn an hour per inch of candle, so these will take longer when used in spell work. I use dinner candles when working 7-day candle spells if I do not have a 7-knob candle. Excellent to inscribe and anoint or dress with herbs, they also work well for pinned candle spells. Dinner candles are available from a wide variety of stores and online. Pillar, sometimes referred to as church candles. Pillar candles come in assorted sizes and are tall and wide. The common colour of these is white or cream, but you can find them in various colours. Pillar candles stand on their own and can be dressed in oils and herbs. They can also have different colours of wax dripped into the top and down the sides for decoration or added spell energy. I like to use these on my altar, one dedicated to the god and one to the goddess. I light them each time I am at my altar in honour of the deities. I also have a large pillar candle that I light each time I do a tarot reading. The candle is dedicated to divination and psychic energy. Pillar candles are easily sourced from online or general stores. Dedicated magical pillar candles are available from occult stores and online. Rolled beeswax. Rolled beeswax candles are sheets of beeswax rolled up around a central wick to form a candle. They come in lots of assorted sizes and colours. Rolled candles are useful because you can carefully unwrap the wax and pop herbs and spices or petitions inside the candle and then re-roll them. Ready rolled beeswax candles and beeswax sheets can be sourced online or from craft stores. Container or jar candles. Container or jar candles are poured directly into a glass jar or a metal tin. They come in all sizes, shapes, and scents. The larger ones have several wicks. I do not use container candles for spell work, but they make good general altar or dedication candles, as they usually burn for a long time. Available in a wide variety of general stores and online. Prayer, devotional, or 7-day. These have various names, but are tall, cylindrical, get that word out, glass containers with the candle wax poured directly in. Slightly different to a jar or container candle, as they generally have an image painted on the outside. These symbols may be a deity, a saint, tarot image, sigil, or symbols, such as Viv for voodoo practitioners. These large candles are often used for devotional purposes, and often they burn for between 60 to 70 hours. Sometimes called 7-day candles, with the intention that you light them for a period of time of 7 days while working your spell. This builds the momentum of power for the spell, adding more energy to each day before releasing the energy on the last day to work its magic. As devotional candles burn for such a long time, I prefer to use them for devotional purposes. I sometimes put a tarot card behind the candle, or a crystal in front, or perhaps a circle of herbs as an offering around the base. You can change the extras each time you light it if you wish. I do not tend to use devotional candles for spell work as they burn for such an extended period of time. For 7-day spells, I use the 7 knob candles. These types of candles can be sourced from occult stores and some online outlets. So, what is a 7-knob candle? The 7-knob candle is a specifically shaped candle that is crafted from 7 knobs stacked on top of each other to create a tall candle. You burn 1 knob each day over a period of 7 days, good for building up the energy of a spell for a specific intent or working with a spell that has steps to it. Usually focusing on one intent, you can work with different aspects of it each day, building up the energy until you release the full power on the 7th day, or you just repeat the same intent each day for 7 days. The idea is that the momentum and energy of the spell builds as you add to it each day until you release it. Each knob can be dressed with oil and herbs or carved with symbols or sigils. You can create your own 7 knob candle by scoring your candle at intervals to separate it into sections. The same effect can be created by placing pins at intervals. Burn the candle until the pin drops out, snuff the candle, and then burn to the next pin on the following day. The ready-made 7-knob candles can be found in occult stores and some online outlets. The novena or 9-day candle is used in some Roman Catholic churches. The candle is lit and burns over a period of 9 days and is used to send the same prayer, request, or desire to God, repeated each day. These candles are available from online outlets. Shaped and figures. Candles also come in a huge array of shapes and figures, often depicting people or animals. The magic worked with shaped candles is done by using solid imagery and correspondence that you place on them. A black cat candle may be used for luck magic, a skull candle might be used for cursing, and a heart-shaped candle or 2 figures entwined would work for love magic. The intent will be what you see the figures or shapes to represent. Shaped and figure candles can be harder to track down, but occult stores and some online outlets will stock them. You may need to keep an eye out at certain times of the year. For example, cat and skull-shaped candles can often be found in general stores around Halloween time. Scented candles. Our noses are bombarded in shops with a number of scented candles now available. I do tend to think of ready scented candles as something to make the room smell nice rather than to work magic, but you can use them in spell work if you choose. Be mindful to pick one that has been scented with natural oils rather than chemical perfumes. Once you light the wick, those chemicals are transferred into the air that you breathe. Also remember that some scents, once in the air, are detrimental to pets. Most chemical scents in the air can be toxic to dogs, but some essential oils are too, such as cinnamon, pine, and pennyroyal, tea tree, and wintergreen. Do check first. Floating. You will find small, often shaped candles designed for floating on the surface of water. These can also be achieved with most tea lights. Burn time for floating candles will vary depending on the size, but as a guide, a 5 centimetre floating candle will burn for about 4 to 5 hours, and 7.5 centimetre floating candles will burn for about 8 to 10 hours. They work well for outside rituals, floating on a large dish or bowl of water. Floating candles can be found in most online and general stores. Hag torches. Hag torches, hag candles, witch candles, different names for the same thing. A hag candle is created with a core of dried mullein and coated with beeswax and various dried flowers and herbs. traditionally used to remove negative energy, evil spirits, and for working baneful magic. Hag candles are good for cleansing and purifying your environment, sacred space, or ritual area, and making a connection to the other world. In ancient Rome, stalks of mullein were dipped in tallow and used as torches carried during funerals. Mullein has been used throughout history to dispel evil and bring about protection. Technically not a candle, as they do not have a wick, they are referred to as torches and are safer to use outside as they can flare. They are useful to use indoors with caution as they work well instead of cleansing with smoke. Hag torches may be a little harder to track down, but I have seen them in occult stores and they are usually handcrafted. Cleansing. Before you use a new candle, it is beneficial to cleanse and charge it for the purpose I require. Cleansing clears up any bits of negative or otherwise energy that it may have picked up on its journey before it arrived with you. It is a good bit of magical housekeeping and ensures no stray energy interferes with your magic. Cleansing a candle is simple and can be done via several methods, which one is up to you. Visualization. Simple and effective. Hold or stand the candle in front of you and visualize a clear white, blue, or whatever color you associate with cleansing and send it over the candle, allowing the light to clear and cleanse any negative energy. Smoke. Pass your candle through the smoke created by incense. Choose a particular scent that you associate with cleansing and purifying, such as garden sage, mint, or mugwort. See the smoke clearing away any negative energy from the candle. Water. Pass the candle briefly under running water or sprinkle with blessed or moon water. Again, visualize any negative energy being released as you do so. General charging. Once your candle is cleansed, you will need to charge it with positive energy. This can be done in several ways. Moonlight. Leave your candle under the moonlight for a few hours. You can tie this in with the intent of your spell work if you know what you are going to use the candle for. Charge under a new moon for drawing to you magic, a full moon for general spells, or a waning moon for releasing and letting go magic. Sunlight. If you want to draw on solar energy for your magic, you can charge the candle in sunlight. Just leave it out under the midday sun for a few minutes to use for general spells. If you are working magic drawing something to you, then charge the spell for a few minutes at sunrise or mid-morning, and for releasing magic, charge it under the afternoon sun or sunset. Don't leave a candle out in full sun for too long, otherwise it may melt. Visualization. Hold the candle in your hands and visualize your intent filling the candle, or just channel sun, earth, or element energy into the candle. Crystals. If you have a large piece of quartz of any kind, you can set the candle on top of the crystal and leave it to charge. I like to leave them overnight, but be guided by how long you feel it needs. Charging your ingredients. You start your spell with a cleansed and charged candle, but the candle and any other ingredients you are using for your magic will need to be told what you want them to do. You need to program your items so they have a direction and a purpose. I do this with all the items in any spell work I am working. Start with a candle, which although you have charged it with positive energy, does need to be told what intent you have in mind. Hold the candle in your hands and channel energy into it, whilst also visualizing your intent exercises for both are in previous lessons. I then follow this same process with any other ingredients I add to the spell. I charge the essential oil as I am dressing the candle with it, and for each herb, spice, or crystal I use in the spell, I hold it in my hand and channel energy with my intent and tell it what I want it to do. You can say it out loud, giving the item instructions. For example, Basil Herb, I charge you with the intent of drawing in money to me. Back this up with visualizing your goal or desire as you add the ingredient to the spell. All the ingredients have a magical energy, but most of them cover several different intents, so they need guidance to give them focus and direction. Dressing your candle. To add even more power to your intent with your candle spell, you can add scent to it, either in the form of anointing with oil or the addition of herbs. Warning: adding oil and herbs to your candles can cause the candle flame to flare. Try to keep any oils or herb dressings away from the wick. Dried herbs and oils are combustible and can send the flame of your candle sky high. It can also cause spitting. Be mindful of this when setting your candle spell in motion. Keep it in a fireproof holder on a safe surface and watch it like a hawk. Trust me, I speak from experience and I have the scorched furniture to prove it. Thankfully, my eyebrows are still intact. Anointing with oil. Anointing means to rub or dab with oil for a religious or spiritual purpose. You can work with anointing oils to dab on your pulse points to help kick you into your inner spiritual self. Or in this case, we are anointing candles with an oil blend to dedicate them for a specific purpose. It focuses the energy and intent for spell work. Or in the case of dedication candles, it guides the energy to the deity or the spirit. Whilst you are anointing your candle with the oil and are rolling it in herbs, it is important to visualize your intent at the same time, again adding to the power of your intent. By charging the herbs and oils as you add them to the candle, you are adding power to your spell. The following exercises are for use with spell, taper, or pillar candles. Any candles that has an exposed column can be dressed in this way. Exercise. Dressing a candle to bring something to you. You rub the oil from the bottom of the candle to the center and from the top of the candle down to the center. Rub the oil from the top of the candle right to the bottom. This can be done with the candle standing upright as you hold the candle horizontally in front with the wick pointing away from you, so that when you are dressing it with oil, you are bringing the energy towards you. You can also rub the oil clockwise in a spiral from the top of the candle to the bottom. Exercise. Dressing a candle to dispel or send away from you. You can rub the oil from the center outwards to the top and from the center of the candle outwards towards the bottom. Rub the oil from the bottom of the candle right to the top. This can be done with the candle standing upright, or if you hold the candle horizontally in front of you with the wick facing you, so when you are dressing it with oil, you are sending the energy away from you. You can rub oil anti-clockwise in a spiral from the bottom of the candle to the top. Adding herbs and spices. Once anointed with oil, you can roll your candle in crushed herbs and spice blends. The oil helps the herbs stick to the outside of the candle. If you are using a rolled beeswax candle, you can, if you are careful, warm the candle in your hand, gently unroll the beeswax, then sprinkle the herbs inside and roll it back up again. If you have a glass votive holder, you can place the candle inside and sprinkle the herbs around it. For large pillar candles, you can sprinkle a mixture of dried herbs and spices on top. These can be sealed in place by holding a lighted taper candle over the top, allowing the melting wax to drip over the top. Be careful not to place them too near the wick. Whole pieces of cinnamon stick can be placed around the sides of pillar candles and tied with a ribbon. Cloves can be pushed into the sides of candles. Decorating and adorning candles. Adding your own embellishments to a candle can not only make it look pretty or witchy, but will also add magic and power. Candles can be decorated or the look, but also with a particular intent in mind. Use corresponding pressed flowers and leaves, glitter, crystal chips, charms to add to the power of your intent. Please do be careful with these. The oils and dried plants can cause the flame to flare up, and crystals or charms can get incredibly hot and even explode. Or the heat can cause any glass or ceramic holders to crack. It is advisable to remove crystals and large flowers or leaves as the wax melts, just to be safe. The magical energy will remain the same. It might seem strange to be talking about how to light a candle. Surely it is a simple action. Well, yes and no. Practically, it is practically it is. You can use matches, a lighter, or a taper. Magically, it can have a bit more attached to it. Using matches adds the magical element of wood and the striking action to create the flame. I also save my spent matches and use them in magic because they are useful as a form of charcoal. You can grind them up and add the powder to spells or you can draw sigils and symbols with the blackened end. A lighter works too, but it does not quite have the same energy. But it does work with a flint and lighter fluid of some type, so it still has the element of fire with it. You need to make a decision about which you prefer. If you have several candles to light, it is easiest to use a lighting taper or a wooden spill and use that to pass the flame on. When you light a candle for the spell, it's also a choice for you to make. Do you light it before or after you start? Lighting the candle at the start of your spell tells the universe that you're setting your spell in motion, but it can also provide focus for you and sets the mood. Lighting it during your spell also works, perhaps once you start your chant or speak your words of intent. This also sets the magic in motion, but does so during the focus of your words. The candle can also be lit at the end of your magical working, sending the energy out into the world once the intent has been set. I nearly always light the candle at the beginning of a spell, but the choice must be yours. Be guided by your intuition and what feels right for you. Snuffing out a candle. There is a controversy about whether you should blow out a candle or snuff it either with your fingers or a candle snuffer. Some say that you should never blow out a candle flame, believing that you will sever the connection between the magic and the divine, or that it brings an insult to the element of fire. I have never had a problem and blow out candles when necessary, but I also have a candle snuffer which I use on occasion too. Trust your intuition on this one. It may help to cup your hand behind the candle when you blow the flame out, helping keep the magic contained. I typically allow a candle to burn out fully when working a spell, unless it is a 7-day spell or a pinned one. I feel that the candle needs to burn fully to allow the magic to be released properly. You may on occasion feel that a candle has done its work halfway through, or when it has burnt past your inscription or carving. Then it can be snuffed or blown out and the remains disposed of. Another option is to set a timer limit using a number that corresponds with your spell intent, blowing out the candle after 3 minutes or 6 minutes perhaps. This must be in line with your own feelings and intuition and allow it to guide you with the best course of action. Snuffing out the candle with a candle snuffer is an effective way of pausing a spell that you will come back to. It does not seem so abrupt or final as blowing it out. To work with reversing spells or sending negative energy away, you can burn a lit candle quickly, or you can turn a lit candle quickly upside down to put the flame out. Turning it upside down reverses the energy. Be careful, as this will send hot wax everywhere, and placing something underneath to catch the wax is advisable. You can also upturn a lit candle and extinguish it by turning it into water, soil, or sand. This is a way of requesting that Mother Earth absorb the negative energy. Bear in mind, when blowing out a candle, blow lightly or it will send hot wax in unexpected directions. Disposing. When you come to dispose of the spell remnants, which might just be a small candle stub or a few herbs, right up to a whole poppet or jar, there are a few options. Candle stubs and wax remnants. I generally dispose of these in the trash, although they can also be burned in the garden. Spell leftovers can be buried in the garden, at crossroads, or in the woods. Only do this if all the items are biodegradable and do not contain lots of salt, as it is bad for the soil and the animals. You can also throw spell remnants into running water, such as a river or the sea. Again, please only do this if the items are not going to damage the environment or the wildlife. Wax remnants can also be used as charms or talismans, and there are details a bit further down. Some items can be flushed down the toilet. I make this suggestion really as a last resort. I don't like flushing herbs, wax, and spell items down the toilet. It can harm any wildlife or the water source that it will eventually clog up in. And of course, it will also clog the toilet pipes, which is definitely something to be avoided. Herbs and spices. If your remnants are just herbs and spices, these can be popped into the compost bin if you have one. I often sprinkle these straight onto the garden, particularly ash from the cauldron, as some specific plants like this added to the soil. Remember, if you sprinkle spell remnants onto the soil that contains seeds, they may grow. Burn it. One of my favourites, as I do like a bit of fire. Herbs, spices, wood, and paper can all easily be burnt in a flame-proof container after the spell is done. I know I do not need to say it, but do not add anything to the flame that is going to produce toxic fumes. You can throw it to the wind. Ash and dried herbs can be thrown up into the air on a windy day, but do remember that at some point they come down and they will settle on the ground or on you. Non-biodegradable or hazardous materials, such as those that might be in a witch bottle or jar spell, should be dumped in the trash. Also remember that even when you throw the items in the trash, they will end up in the earth in landfill. Perhaps think about the materials you use within your spells. Try and keep as much of it as possible eco-friendly or reusable. Crystals. If I've used crystals in a spell, I cleanse them and put them away for use again. They are easy to clear with incense smoke, water, or salt, depending on the type of crystal. Some crystals are expensive, so I do not want to throw them away after each spell. If I have worked on something like a binding, then I do not want that magic on my property once it is done. Even if the items are biodegradable, I would not chuck them in my garden. You do not want that energy anywhere near your house, so that goes in the trash to be taken away. Tea light tins and candle containers. Tea light tins can be thrown in the trash or saved to use and refill with new wicks and freshly melted wax. I would clean them first with soapy water before reuse. One important note: spells have the potential to go off the rails, such as love spells. I always advise keeping the remnants of any spell along with a list of exactly what you did and used, just in case you need to reverse it. Ultimately, trust your intuition for each spell. Hold the remnants in your hand or hold your hand over the top of them and ask, what do I do with these now? See how you feel about the energy from them. Reusing candles. I do not reuse candles if I have previously worked with them in a spell. If the candle is only burnt down part way and has been snuffed out, I dispose of the remainder. Reusing a spell can confuse the energy, but you must trust your intuition on this. If you have stubs from candles burnt on your altar or for general lighting purposes, you can save the wax and when you have enough, melt them together and make new candles. But I would only do this with candle stubs that have not been used for spell working. Petition papers. A petition paper is a representation of your intent in paper form. It is a formal written request. It carries a word or several words that sum up the intent and focus of your spell. You do not need to write an essay on the petition paper. It is just a few of the key power words taken from the intent of your spell. For example, if I was working a spell to bring me courage for a speaking engagement, I might write courage and confidence on the petition paper. For a spell to release bad habits, I could write release and let go of my bad habits. It doesn't need to be anything more complicated. You can write on the paper with a pencil, pen, ink pen, quill, or whatever you feel is right. I often write with a coloured felt pen, coordinating the colour with the intent of my magic. You can also use magical inks. So what do you do with the petition paper? During your candle spell, here are some suggestions for your petition paper. Pin it to your candle or the wick of your lamp. Place it underneath your candle. Place your petition paper in front of the candle. Set light to it from the flame and burn it. And before you light the candle, roll the petition paper inside a sheet of beeswax candle. Carving and inscribing. If you want to add more intent to your candle, you could carve a rune, numbers, letters, words, symbol, or a sigil into it. Use a toothpick or a small knife and just carve your design into the candle itself. I use a tattoo needle to carve my candles. It was used during a ritual tattoo, and the artist kindly gave me the needle afterwards. Not only does it have a good sharp tip for carving into the candle, but it also carries my own blood magic with it. Any wording can be carved into the candle, written in a straight line along the side, either down the candle from wick to base for things you want to release, or up the candle from bottom to wick to bring things to you. Words and designs can also be carved into a spiral from top to bottom or bottom to top. There are some trains of thought that believe whatever you carve into the candle should be done in one fluid movement without lifting your knife or pin from the wax until you are finished. The idea being that it helps you focus your energy. The idea is sound, but not always practical, particularly if your image is quite detailed. Trust your intuition on this one. Once carved, you can go over the carving with a Sharpie or glitter pen to highlight the image if you wish. Try following the carving with a glue pen and then adding crushed herbs or glitter. Pinning your candle. Pinning is where you place a pin into your candle at the spot where the magic will be released. You'll need to hold your focus and your intent on the candle until it reaches the pin, which can take a great deal of energy. I tend to set a pin into the top third of a candle for this. Pinning of the candle is done before you start the spell. Pins can also be used to section your candle. They can be used to create a 7 or 9 day candle spell by pushing pins in at regular spaced intervals down the candle. You can use a simple straight dressmaking pin, or the ones with coloured tips can be used to bring a bit of colour magic into the spell. Small hat pins also work quite well. If you have long enough plant thorns, these can be used to pin. Blackthorn thorns are a good option. Once the candle burns down to the pin and releases it, the spell is done. What colour? A basic white candle is good and covers pretty much every intent. If you want to add power to your intent, pick a coloured candle that mirrors your objective. Colour has its own vibrations, just as sound does. The use of colour can help change our moods and provoke emotions. Using colour in magic can help you tune into the vibrations of the magical intent. Many colours are traditionally associated with particular intents, such as black for death and red for love, and these are just generalizations. Trust your intuition and how the colours make you feel. Colour can be used for the candle, but can be extended to include the colour candle holder, altar cloth, or decorative items that you use. Working the magic. To give you an idea of the method and how to proceed with the spell, this is how I work. Charge the candle, herbs, oils, and any extras with your intent. Carve the symbol onto your candle. Dress the candle with oil, roll the dressed candle in your chosen herbs, or you can also sprinkle them around the base of the candle and set the candle in a safe holder. Place your petition underneath or in front of the candle if using. The petition can also be lit from the flame and placed in a fireproof dish to burn out. If using, place your tarot or oracle card behind the spell and your crystal in front. Light the candle, say your chant, and visualize your intent, and allow the candle to burn out. Homework. Imagine you are going to work a prosperity spell. What colour candle would you use? On what day and or moon or sun phase would you work the spell? What oil would you anoint the candle with? What herbs or other ingredients would you add? What symbol would be most effective to carve onto the candle? 2. If you're going to work a protection spell, what colour candle would you use? On what day and or month and or moon or sun phase would you work the spell? What oil would you anoint the candle with? What herbs or other ingredients would you add? And what symbol would be most effective to carve onto the candle? 3. If you're going to work a home blessing spell, again, what colour candle would you use? What day and moon or sun phase would you work the spell? What oils and herbs would you use? And what symbol would be most effective to carve into the candle? And 4. Write a candle spell with an intent of your own choosing. Detail what you used and how you performed it. Please include at least 2 of the extras, such as carving or dressing with oil and herbs. Please include a chant and list every step of the spell. Homework for each lesson should be emailed to your mentor, Ness or Heather, support@kitchenwitchhearth.net. And for further study, there is the Kitchen Witch YouTube spells playlist, Rachel's YouTube Candle Magic playlist. We also have a Kitchen Witch blog, spells tab, and Rachel's blog spells and charms tag.